There's a lot of money circulating amongst the big tech guys right now. So, how does that affect the broader economy, and what could cause this to stop? And what impact might that have? Could that cause a bubble burst or a recession? Microsoft is invested heavily in OpenAI. OpenAI spends heavily with Microsoft's cloud infrastructure. Microsoft uses all these NVIDIA chips, which causes their revenue to surge. Meta, Google, Oracle, they all buy more NVIDIA chips. AI startups are raising money and using it on this same cloud infrastructure. So the cloud providers report growing revenue, justify even more spending. Much of it is real spending. There are some scary headlines coming out right now, but not all of it is necessarily untoward. Some of the spending will ultimately flow down to like construction firms, trick utilities, power generation, semiconductor manufacturers, stuff like that. Current planned AI build out is enormous, with tech companies planning hundreds of billions of dollars of annual capital spending just on AI infrastructure. The risk is when spending gets ahead of the actual economic demand. If company A buys from company B because investors expect future growth, and company B buys from company C from the same reason, valuations can be very disconnected from the profits that are actually generated by the end users of the products. That's how many of the historical bubbles have formed, including the railroad bust in the 1800s, the fiber infrastructure and dot-com busts of the 90s, and some aspects of the housing boom and bust of the 2000s. The infrastructure was useful in all of these examples, and we still use it, but it was way too much built out way too quickly at the time. There are several things that could cause this to stop, including disappointment in AI. If companies discover that AI is useful but not profitable enough to justify its current spending levels, infrastructure purchases could slow dramatically. Right now, the market is willing to fund these huge AI expenditures. But if investors began demanding profits instead of just growth, management teams could slash capital expenditures. That's what happened with the dot-com bubble. It could also exceed the capacity for the AI data centers. Right now, cloud providers say that they are capacity constrained, but if too many of these data centers get built, the prices for AI computing could fall sharply, and historically, overcapacity has ended many technology booms. We could also see power bottlenecks slow expansion because this AI infrastructure demands so much power, so much water, so many of our resources. Just a regular recession could mean companies reducing spending on stuff like software and AI programs that aren't necessarily working out. That could really snowball things. It's worth noting that there's a whole spectrum of bad. It doesn't mean that everything's going to, go into Mad Max overnight. Things could get worrisome and never actually collapse. Prices for these companies could take huge hits and spending could slow down, but everything keeps tootling along. There's massive overbuilding and the chip orders collapse and data center construction stops, then we're looking at a dot-com size burst. Currently, big tech is spending about $700 billion annually on AI infrastructure, but if that suddenly stops, we could see that ripple across different industries, including like construction, utilities, manufacturing, including but not limited to the semiconductor manufacturing, equipment suppliers, multiple labor markets. AI actually starts producing measurable productivity gains across the things it was promised for, like healthcare and finance, engineering. And today's expenditures may seem pretty reasonable, but if it doesn't, current cycle looks a lot like the telecom fiber bubble, where too much infrastructure was built way before demand arrived. Headlines of like Meta having these tents full of chips that they're passing off as data centers should be extremely worrying, as well as how fast these things are built and the sheer number of them being constructed. Do you think we're on the edge of a bubble? Let me know in the comments and follow for more.